Hi everyone, welcome to episode 101 of the arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things I have been knitting and spinning on for the past week. Today, it is January 4th, Saturday, January 4th, and 2025. I hope you've all had a great start to your new year. Happy New Year to all of you. I am so excited for the start of a new year. I really do love New Year's. I did some, to me, what I think is fun for New Year's that I would love to share with you all towards the end of the video. But yeah, I've had a great time so far and I'm just really excited to kind of like just dive right into the year. And I have a lot of goals, plans, just like ideas for this year. And so now that it's finally here, I kind of feel like I want to just like slowly, kind of like start into my plans. But because this is the first episode of 2025, I am going to do my normal, what I talk about, finished objects, works in progress, spinning updates, some acquisitions, and then at the end I will talk about my 2025 goals that I have kind of written out. It's not super anything crazy, but I do like to share with you all my goals. I think this is only the second year that I've really kind of like written out knitting goals specifically, or just like crafting goals for the year. And so I want to share with you all what my goals are, my plans for 2025. And then I'll just end off the video, if there's enough time and I haven't talked too much already, just like talk about how my holiday season went. Just to update you guys all. So let's start off with kind of like what I'm wearing, but also finished objects. I'm not wearing a knitted sweater. I'm just wearing like a normal, one of my fuzzy jackets because I'm really, really cold. But I thought this would be a great way to start off the finished objects section of this video because I have a few. And I am also wearing one of my shawls that I have finished. You've seen it before, but last time I talked about it, it was not washed and blocked yet. And so it is finally washed and blocked. So I do want to share it with you all. I will take it off so that you can see it. This is the Reverb wrap by Alexi Tavel, 2 of Wands on Instagram. I feel like after washing and blocking, it has, I wouldn't say grown a lot, but it has really kind of like, the flow on this is really nice, and just the drape. I think the drape is actually the word I was looking for. Drape's really nice. All the stitches have kind of relaxed a little bit, and I think it's looking really great. The yarn I use for this is all Woolberry. So for the main color, which goes all throughout this shawl, it is Berry DK in the colorway Flock. And then the red in this section is Heirloom, and the green is We Got There in the End. And again, I just love this stitch pattern on this. It is kind of like a mini bobble and a slip stitch with the yarn kind of hanging in between. To me, it reminded me of Christmas lights being hung up, and I thought it would be a great Christmas shawl, even though Christmas is now over, but it's still pretty subtle as far as like a red and green go, and so I feel like it's still very wearable, but it's definitely like holiday feels as well. So this is my favorite way to wear a shawl, especially a triangle shaped shawl like this one, where it is just, put on over my shoulders and then the front parts are just hanging. I think, let me stand up so you can see the length on this. When I'm standing, and I'm tippy-toeing right now, the tips are just right about, it's way below I would say my waist is here, my hips are about here. So it is below my hips, but it doesn't get in the way. It's not really dangling down too much. It covers my shoulders all the way down to just like, I guess my elbows, which is really nice, so that when I'm sitting and my arms are kind of up like this, it just drapes right there. And I think for me, that is a perfect length for a shawl. And then it covers basically all of my back here. And it doesn't feel like it's going to fall off when I'm just draped over it like this. And so it just feels really nice, and it's nice and cozy. And so I will be wearing this for the rest of the podcast, and I'm just, feeling really nice. oh yeah, this is a one size pattern, but you can, since it's just like a stitch repeat and increase on one side, you can easily make this as small or as large as you'd like. And I used US 8 needles, or 5.0 millimeter needles, to knit this, and it was, I believe that was a recommended needle size. This is a free pattern on Alexi's website, which I believe is twoofwands.com. But you can pay for a PDF version if you don't want the ads. Sometimes that makes like the page load really slow, but you know, once you get cast on and you do the pattern a little bit, you don't really need the instructions too much. So yeah, I am just really happy with this shawl. I think that it was a great way to use this yarn that I had in my stash. And I love it. I love, yeah, I just love the size of it, as I've already talked about, and it's a really great one. So now that it's washed and blocked, I feel really good about it. I don't know what's happened lately. I feel like maybe I just feel really busy, and so I just don't have the time to kind of wash and block. I feel like for me, it really is just like the blocking. If you've watched me for maybe like a couple months already, you'll know that I moved sometime a little bit towards the, I guess, middle-ish of last year, and waiting for my knits to dry now, it just dries a lot slower because it's a lot colder here. So, and it's just because my knit room and everything is in the downstairs of this house, so it is just colder down here. I have figured out a way to make things dry a little quicker, but it's still sometimes it's a little slow. I do have a fan, but I don't like to keep it on, you know, all the time, just when I'm in the room. And so because I've been on break from work, and I haven't been in my knitting room because it's also my office, I don't kind of have it nice and warm in here to dry my knits, and so it has taken a little longer. It really is just this longer drying time that makes me not want to completely, you know, wash and block and finish all of my knits, but I really just need to, like, I will get over it eventually because my knits deserve that wash and block. So I'm just glad that this is dry for today, because I think I put this out maybe a couple days ago. So yeah, I'm just happy it's ready to go for the podcast. Okay, and then I do have, wow, I think I have 3 more finished objects to talk to you all about. Again, like this one was finished knitting. I just need to wash and block. Same for this next one. I also laid this out yesterday in the middle of the day, and I was not sure if it was going to dry in time, but it is so light that I was like, I'm going to be shocked if it's not dry. And it is dry. It's just a little cold, I think. But this is my hip striped shawl by Locatelli. I would probably also, I realize I don't know if I really ever like, when I wear my finished objects for a podcast, which I do like to do, I try to wear some kind of, or at least try to wear all of my finished objects at least once on the podcast. But I don't know if I've ever really done that for shawls, and I think the shawls deserve its time. I've made a lot of shawls this year. I've already done some like accounting of, you know, the numbers for my stats for last year, which we'll talk about later, just a little bit, but I've made so many shawls, and I think that they deserve a special kind of like what I am wearing on the podcast. So you might see this shawl again, but this is the hip stripe shawl by Locatelli. The yarn I use is Woolberry Fiber Co. Berry Suri as the main color, or color 1, in the colorway Flower Crown, which is this white variegated speckly color. And then the pink that you see in here is Woolberry Berry Natural in the colorway Bouquet. And so it is an all garter stitch shawl except for these X crossing sections here that is done just in your main color, and in my case it was the Suri, and it is asymmetrical. And okay, the blocking on this has really made it just drape super nicely and just hang really nicely like this. You can see the shape of it a lot better now that everything is just kind of like laying more flat and not so like crinkled up, especially around the edges. And it's just, it looks so cozy and so nice to wear. So I'm excited to start using this as well. But yeah, I love that. That is a one size pattern as well, but again, you could just continue doing the repeats if you want, or not do as many repeats if you want it to be a lot shorter. I use US 4 needles or 3.5 millimeter needles to knit that. And yeah, so that is my second shawl. That is like completely done. I am calling both of these shawls finished objects for 2024 though. I do want to mention that because it really was just done knitting. I just needed to wash and block it. So these are counted towards numbers for 2024. Same, I have another project that, okay, this one is not washed and blocked yet, but it's done knitting. The ends are woven in, and so this is my last finished object of 2024. It is my Doppio sweater, my second Doppio sweater. I actually think it's kind of funny. I didn't realize that my first Doppio I knit in the beginning of 2024, and then my second Doppio is knit at the end of 2024. And so it kind of is just like, you know, the bookends of the year, which is really fun. Here is the sweater. You can see that I didn't block it because it is kind of bunching near the ribbing at the hem, but you will see this again after I block it. This is Doppio Sweater by Seunghee. The yarn I used for this, I held 3 strands together. So first one was Big Little Yarn Co. Trusty Sock in the colorway Futakuchi-Onna. Same colorway, but in Suri silk lace. And then the third strand is Pasley Knit Sailing Sport in the colorway Matcha. I knit size 1. I use US 7 or 4.5 millimeter needles for the ribbing, and then US 10 or 6.0 millimeter needles for the rest of the body, which is the recommended needle size for this pattern. And as you maybe remember, my concern for this was running out of my Pasley Knits Sailing Sport base in the colorway Matcha, which is the light green color in here. And I'm happy to say that I used, I think, all of it up except for 2 grams of yarn of the Sailing Sport yarn. And so I really got the most of this length as I could out of this sweater. I did the neckline. So, okay, let me back it up a little bit. I only had 2 skeins of each of the yarn. For the Big Little Yarn Co. yarn, the Trusty Sock, and the Suri silk lace, I knew I was not going to use up all 2 skeins, so I was fine. But it was the Pasley Knit Sport base that I was worried about because each of those skeins only had 291 yards. And looking back at my first Doppio, my yardage at the end of that was more than 291 times 2. So I knew that this sweater was going to be a little cropped or something, and I was like, if it's going to be really cropped, I could potentially do the cuffs or something in maybe just not use that yarn and just double up on my fingering weight yarn on it. But I really wanted it to just be all the same. So I cast on, it is top down, and so I cast on at the neck and knit as much as I could with the first skein of that sport weight yarn. Then once I had to start using my second skein of that yarn, I did the neck, which is a folded. I really could have just, like, if I was that worried about it, I didn't need to do a folded neckband, but I do really like the folded neckband on this, so I did the folded neckband. I knit both sleeves plus the cuffs to pattern. I didn't change anything about that. I didn't shorten the sleeves or anything, which also is something I could have done, but I just did it to pattern, and then I went back to my body and I knit the rest of it. And what I did was, to get the most out of the yarn, I knit 1 round of stockinette. Actually, so I weighed how much left I had of my sport weight yarn before knitting any more on the body. Then I knit 1 round in stockinette, and I weighed my yarn again and saw how much grams of yarn that used, and then I kind of like reverse kind of like engineered like how many rounds I could get in stockinette, and also how many rounds of ribbing is needed or that is recommended for the pattern. Again, if I was like off 2 rounds from the ribbing, that also would have been totally fine. But I did that math, and then I got as close as I felt comfortable because, again, I didn't want to run out right at the end. And I finished the ribbing as well. with the recommended number of rounds, and I did a tubular bind off, and it was really great. I had 2 grams left of the yarn, so I could have potentially done one more round of normal stockinette for the sweater, but lengthwise, it is pretty much already there. I did compare it to my first Doppio, and it is, I think, maybe like 1 inch shorter than my first Doppio, but I don't think that is going to really, it is not as cropped as I feared that it would be, and I just need to, again, wash and block this to see how and if it grows at all. But yeah, I think it's going to be really good once it's washed and blocked. I mean, it's already good. I am in love with this color combination. It wasn't something that I initially thought of for, combining any of these yarn colors together, but I think it worked out really nicely. I love the orange bits that are coming out, and I'm really happy that I went with the Pasley Knits yarn, which is this lighter green, versus the other yarn was kind of a bit of a darker green and more of a yellow tint to it. And the light green really kind of like made it a bit more of a, just like a lighter, it lightened it up a little bit, and so it's a little less yellow, and I'm really enjoying it. It just, I don't know, there's something about it that just makes me really happy, which I guess is just, so it's good. You want to knit things that make you happy. So I'm just really pleased with the result of this yarn combination. It's really good. And there's no pink in this sweater. And so, I'm expanding my color palette here for my knitting, and I'm really excited and happy about that. So you will see this again, but I did want to show it to you all because I was really getting worried that I was not going to finish this before the end of the year, but I finished it on the last day of the year, December 31st. Is it the 31st is the last day? I finished it on the last day, kind of like in the middle of the day, and it was great, and I was very happy about it. So that was my last finished object of 2024, and I just can't wait to wear it now because I love my Doppio sweater. Okay, and then I have my first finished object of 2025 to show you all. I haven't worked on this for a while, and I might have only talked about it once or twice, but this was a test knit. This is the Winter Weave Cowl by Bridget, or BZB Knits on Instagram. Now let me hold it up so you can see it while I talk about it. I've never knit anything like this before. Again, it is a cowl, and it is shaped like a circular yoke, as you can see here. This is not washed or blocked yet. The yarn I use for this is really, really nice. It is Little Fiber Co. Falkland DK. It is a new base for Little Fiber Co. in the colorway Oyster. Again, this is another color. I was debating between this and a pink, and I was like, the pink is really cute. But it would be really nice to add a darker kind of blue color to my wardrobe. And for a cowl, that might be kind of nice so that it matches kind of a whole bunch of things. And there's something about winter and it being kind of dark that I was like, this dark blue kind of just like feels like the right mood. And there are 2 sizes for this. I knit size 2. I could definitely fit the size 1, but because I knew that this was like a circular yoke and this wraps around your neck, because again, it's a cowl, I don't really like things to fit super like tight around my neck, and so I wanted to have that room. So I knit size 2, and I use US 6 needles or 4.0 millimeter needles to knit this. I will show you my stitch marker from last time. So it is worked from the top of the neck here down this way with the increases for that circular yoke. I was here last time, and so I really just made a whole bunch of progress on this. Partly because the deadline for this kind of creeped up on me a little bit more than I remembered. The deadline is end of next week, I believe. And so I just want to get this done. And it's fun to knit on. And so why stop knitting when it's fun to knit on? This yarn is also really, really nice to work with. It has this really nice, it is a non-superwash yarn. Again, it is a Falkland DK base. It's DK weight yarn, and so it knits up a lot faster than fingering weight yarn. but it just has a really nice softness to it that it's kind of hard to describe compared to like a merino. But wow, it is really nice. After knitting this with it, I really just want a sweater quantity in this yarn. It has a nice kind of like bounce and squish. I know some people don't like the word squish to describe yarn, but I don't know how else to describe the feeling that I am like feeling. It just has, yeah, a nice bounce. I feel like that's the other word, but yeah. Look at how cute this stitch pattern is. It's like a basket weave pattern, and so it alternates between blocks of stockinette and garter stitch, and then it alternates each kind of like repeat of that pattern. And then increases are done, so you can see the squares get bigger than from the top. And then there's nice, the start and the end to this is a really nice just like garter stitch edging, and I think for a pattern like this that works really nicely. And yeah, it will just sit. It is a pretty high neck, and so what I'm really excited about though is to wear this out, because if it's cold outside, the high neck will be, and I've tried this on before, you know, washing and blocking it, but it sits really nicely up to like my nose. And so if I really needed to, I could cover my nose and be really nice and warm wearing this, but also it just drapes really nicely too, just like around your neck to give you that extra kind of like comfort. And yeah, then it just drapes around your shoulders like this. You will see this again because I would like to wear this so you can see what it looks like, but I feel like you can kind of get a good idea of just me kind of holding it like this. So it really just like is like a circular yoke without, it's just open, right? There's no kind of like underarm connecting. And it drapes over your shoulders. You can see like the length on this is the length that I like for my shawls, which is just like right above my my elbow. And so it's going to keep my shoulders nice and warm. And it's so cozy that I'm not really, like the yarn is really nice, and so I'm not really worried about it being itchy around my neck either, which is super great. So yeah, I'm really happy to have this done. Also, you know, in time for the test knit as well. And also in time for like the season to be like, just still be able to wear this. And I think it's really cute. Again, I don't have anything like this in my wardrobe. So it's going to be fun to try to figure out how to wear it and to style it. So I'm really not that fussy on styling my knits, if you maybe have noticed. But I do really like wearing my knits anyway, so yeah. I'm looking forward to watching and blocking this and seeing how the yarn transforms potentially after that as well. Because again, this is my first time using this yarn base. But wow, knitting with it was great. It's so plump, and it kind of looks even maybe a little bit thicker than a DK weight, but it has like more, it's not like there's less yardage of it. I think it really is just nice and airy. Lots of air in the yarn. So yeah, it worked out really great. And I love that. Okay, and then so that is all of my finished objects that I have to talk to you all about. I was actually kind of surprised. I was like, it feels like it's been like 2 weeks since the last time I filmed, but it really only has been 1 week. So I guess I have actually worked on quite a bit of things. I think maybe because the beginning of the year was like in the middle of the week, and so it kind of feels like two separate things that happened. But yeah. Okay, let's talk about some of my whips this week. I have, as you can see, I had a few finished objects, and so I've only worked on 3 other whips this week, but I do want to share it with you all. I worked a little bit on my Christmas socks, my DRK Everyday Socks by Andrea Mowry. This is using my Handspun, which it was fiber created by Elsie. It was a Polwarth and Mulberry silk fiber in the colorway Vintage Christmas. And this was a spin and knit along with friends, and so we all spun the same colorway of fiber, although some of us has a different base of fiber, and then we all cast on the same day, Christmas Eve, for these socks. And yeah, I'm still working on it. This is still the first sock last time, I think I was right here. I like just finished working on the heel, which is a Flegel heel for this pattern. And I've just knit a little bit more, not too much more because I wanted to work on some other things, but just wanted to show you some progress anyway. I have been really enjoying working with this yarn. This is my second handspun socks, and I really love my first ones. And so I want to have more handspun socks in my sock wardrobe, and so I'm looking forward to having these finished. But yeah, let me just also hold up. Look how cute this is. I am like right about getting into the red section, and so that's why you see all the red on the outside here. But this is what the cake of the yarn of my handspun looks like. As a reminder, I did a chain ply of this yarn, and then the way that I arranged the colors when I was spinning it, I had it in the order of the colors that I wanted it to and just kept repeating that same color order in the hopes that the resulting yarn knit up is a self-striping sock. And I do believe that I've achieved that. There are just like distinct color sections in between. You can see some of like that like blending in between. You can see like between the brown and the red, there's just like some light brown. And in between the green and the brown, there's some like light green / brown. And so there is some of that, that blending of the colors in between that happens, but I'm not upset about it. I think it's really cute. And just the fact that I can like see the result of that the color changing happen with like, because I really like intended for it to do that while I was spinning, and so it's kind of cool to see the result of that. What else do I have to say? I mean, it makes me really happy. These colors make me really happy, and I guess I could talk about sizing for this. I've knit these socks before, this pattern before, so I'm knitting size 7, which is a woman medium, and I'm using US 1 needles for this. I think that my yarn ended up being a little bit more of like a heavy fingering / light sport weight, so I probably could have actually gone a size down to knit these socks, but it's fine because they're going to be nice and cozy anyway. I am going to probably knit like a lot more, just like to the pattern length for the leg part here, so I still have some ways to go, but I am hoping to get these socks, like both, like the whole pair, done early in January, because I have a whole year of socks planned, yarn from my stash, something that I am joining in with my friends, and I want to start on these are not counted in that. These are not my January socks. I have a different sock set that I want to knit for January, and so I would like to finish these with enough time so that I can cast on and finish knitting my January socks, but I don't want to rush myself either, and so I'm just really enjoying these, and it was a good project to knit on like while in the car, so that was super nice. Okay, next up I have my Abby's scarf. It's another test knit by Bridget. I've just been applying to like almost all of Bridget's test knits because I love her patterns and I love her test knits. Okay, this test knit's due in February, and so I'm not super concerned about time, but I did want to just like get it back kind of like in the rotation of things that I am knitting on. And let me show you my progress. I made good progress on this. This is a pretty like relaxing and fun knit to work on once you kind of like get the pattern. Okay, actually let me hold it sideways like this. Here's what I have so far. Ooh, it looks really cute on the camera, like the different color sections. So it is a triangle-ish shawl. The increases are kind of like at different rates in different sections, but it did start here at the smaller section and just knitting more and more, doing the increases. This is my stitch marker from whenever was the last time I worked on it. And so I did get through a couple, I guess I finished this section, did most of it, because the stitch marker is kind of like in the beginning of that section. I finished this full garter stitch section, and then I am starting this next section. Okay. The yarn I'm using for this, it is 4 different yarn, 4 different colorways, and I'm going to say the yarn that I'm using in the color order that I am matching in the pattern. So in the pattern, it has like colorway, or yarn A, B, C, D, and so that's the order I will say it in. First one is McMullin Fiber Co. Squishy in the colorway Content, which is the white color. Then I have Woolberry Fiber Co. Berry Merino in 3 Little Words, which is the pink color that you see in the stripes here. And then it is Woolberry Berry Cormo in the colorway Graham Cracker, which is the light brown here. And then Woolberry Berry Cozy Sock in the colorway I Have Mail, which is the purple in here. And so this pattern is written in like a recipe style. So the instructions are not written out row by row what to do, but the way that I think recipe style is kind of like the best way to do this kind of pattern, because there are only 2 different stitch patterns that you need to know. One is garter stitch, which you can see here. In the shawl, it just alternates between 2 of these stitch patterns. So it starts with garter stitch, and then it goes to like this slip garter rib looking section. And so there are no purls in this shawl. You just do knit stitches and sometimes slip stitches. So this is the section where there's the slip stitches, but it's garter stitch, and then you alternate again. So you do a garter stitch section, and then you do this slip stitch. I think potentially in this color, you can see that a little bit better. It's garter stitch, except for some of these rows is a slip stitch. So you just see those like stockinette V's going down in the line. And then again, garter stitch, and then this garter slip stitch. And so that keeps it like pretty easy. You just know that you're alternating those. There is a chart in there that just tells you for each of these sections what your increase rate is, and so you just follow that, because the increase row is pretty much always the same in terms of instructions. So that's been really handy, and it's really nice to not have to like keep track of like every single like, okay, I'm on this row, this row, this row. You just look at a chart and you're like, okay, I'm on this section, you know. So I've really been enjoying that, and it's been super relaxing. I kind of just like work on a section. I just read what the section is and what it does, and then I knit it. Don't have to look at the pattern really too much. And then once I'm done with that, I'm like, okay, next section, what's the repeat, what's the increase rate, you know, what's the stitch pattern, what's the yarn I'm using, and then I knit that, and it's all good. So this, as you can tell, right, like I've knit a lot on this past week. I've really been enjoying it. It's been a pretty like good comfort knit for me, and so, because again, it's all knit stitches. And yeah, it's just been really nice. All of the yarn I've listed is fingering weight, but I am holding each of them double to create like a DK weight, because that is kind of like the original yarn for the pattern. Although because this is recipe style, you really can do whatever you want to do with this. You can use a fingering weight and just like change up your needles. You can make it smaller, you can do the repeats longer, you can change the increase rate, like you can kind of just play around with it. But for the case of like the test knit aspect, I am just doing the version of like following what is there and following the numbers, following the increase amounts, and then also following the chart or like the color changes, and yeah, just like labeling my yarn A, B, C, D, and then just following what the chart says for what yarn to use when. But other than, like, it's been pretty intuitive once I like started and got into it. I like understood what was happening. So you can see like right now, my main color in these 3 sections is my yarn A, which is the white. And I am right now on the second section, which uses yarn B as the main color, which is my pink. And so my pink shows up in all of these sections. And so I am on the last section of quarter 2 of this project, which means I'm almost in the middle. And after that, quarters 3 and 4 of this shawl do decreases. And so it's flying by really fast. The depth of this shawl is not going to be really big, but it is meant to be something that you can wrap around kind of multiple times around your neck, which is also extremely cozy. And so I am looking forward to seeing how that kind of works out around my own neck, I guess. But looking, like, kind of like taking a step back and looking at my color choices here, I'm really, really happy about it. It took me a while to figure out what yarn I wanted to use for this, because I wanted to use yarn in stash, and I would have preferably liked to use single skeins because I didn't want to break up any sweater quantities to make this. And so I'm really happy that I did find single skeins that all kind of looked really nice together. I did try and choose kind of like 4 distinct colors that could have really nice contrast in any kind of combination with the stripes. So of course you also don't have to do, contrasting colors. You can kind of keep it all the same, but just a little different or something, or just like all the same one color. It's like this pattern is very customizable, and I think that is what makes it pretty fun and relaxing to do, because there's like, the rules are not super strict. You can kind of just like have the freedom to do whatever you want. So, but I do love following, I do love following patterns, and so I am following the pattern for this one. But it's been really nice, and I'm happy to have that finally kind of like back working. And I did have to go back and like figure out what was going on, but it didn't take me that much effort to kind of like go back into figuring out how to knit that. So yeah, that has been super fun. I am knitting size 2. There are 3 sizes for this shawl, but I'm knitting size 2, and I'm using US 5 or 3.75 millimeter needles to knit that. And then I have another test knit. I've really been trying to get ahead of these test knits that I am in, because I like to be early for test knits. I don't like to be cutting it down right up to the deadline if I can avoid it. So this is the first time you're seeing this test knit, although I have talked about it before, maybe just last week, because the test knit, I think it's a hat, and so it doesn't need that much time for a test knit. But anyway, I just cast this on. The deadline for this is later this month in January, so I really wanted to just like get it going and see how long it takes me to knit. But here's what I have so far. This is the Curiosity hat by Tori Yu, and I am using, here's my 2 yarn colors for this. Tori Yu used one of her Handspun skeins, color changing yarn, and so I also wanted to do that, and so I am using this Handspun. It's so cute like this. This is Nest Fiber Cassiopeia, which I have spun earlier this year. So it's really nice to have this kind of like in a project. I don't like to keep, it's not that I don't like to keep my Handspun as Handspun, because they're very cute when they're in a skein, but I really enjoy knitting with my Handspun, and so it's nice that there is a nice project for this particular colorway. It's very bright and happy, but still kind of like light and aerial kind of colors. So that's really cute. And then I paired it with Explorer Knits Denali Sock in the colorway Gumwall, and I had 1 skein of this extra from a project, and so I was like, yes, another kind of like single skein that I could get it like in a project in something that I really like, because I could just like find a project and use yarn that's like left over from something in it, but I really would prefer to like love a project and yarn combination to knit it with, and so I'm happy that this yarn combination is happening. This is it knit up. The contrast is a little bit lower because there is a lot of pink in my Handspun, but you can still kind of see that texture happening. It is just alternating between each of the colors. It's not color work. It's just one round you knit with your one color, and then the next round you switch to your other color. So there's not really any, it's not color work, which is super nice, but it does have this kind of look of like these like diamond shapes happening in your main color. For me, it is like my Gumwall solid color, and then in the background, stockinette stitches are just your Handspun or color changing yarn or variegated. That would look super cute too. And I'm really happy with how it's coming out. You can see like this section where it's green and has more contrast, you can kind of see that stitch pattern happening a bit more. Actually, maybe even down here a little bit. This is what I have so far, and it's going to take a bit more knitting. I need like maybe 3 more inches of this, and yeah, I did a lot of knitting on this because I really needed to know how quickly or how much I needed to knit on this for the deadline. As long as I work on it with enough progress every day or every other day, I think I should be good, because also I haven't knit a hat in this construction before, but I think it is very similar to a very popular hat pattern that I am forgetting the name of right now that I've never knit. But I believe the construction is, you know, I'm knitting in the round like this, so I'm going to keep knitting until I do decreases for the top of the hat. And then there was a provisional cast on here, and so I'm going to knit another part of this and then do decreases, and then you like squish one of them on the inside of the other, and so it's like double layered inside the hat. And then this hat is also like reversible, and so if you look at Tori's pictures, you can see you could have the hat with this like pattern section, the entire hat, including the folded brim, or you can like switch it inside out, and then you can have your solid color, which for me is going to be this gum wall, solid color at like the main top of the hat, and then the brim folded part is going to be this. And I think that that would probably be the way that I wear it the most, but I'm excited to see the construction of this hat. I just like do it because I've seen it before and people talk about it before, and I've just never knit a hat like that. So I'm very much looking forward to that because I just want to see it happen, you know? But that is what I am knitting on, kind of like a lot, because again, it's a test knit due later this month. I am knitting adult small, and I'm using US 3 needles or 3.25 millimeter needles to knit this, and that is the recommended needle size. So yeah, just happy colors to start off January. Okay, I want to talk about some spinning now because I have been doing a little bit of spinning. Okay, before I show you some really cute skeins, I have been spinning I started spinning my Nest Fiber Holiday Advent. I was trying to think of a project that maybe I could spin them all together or spin sections of them together. But I think what I really want to do is just spin each of the fiber like days as itself, its own thing, have 24 mini skeins, and then just knit with the mini skeins. Okay, I have organized them now all in a box because it wrapped in the paper was just like, it was not happening space-wise, and just like unwrapping and seeing them all. I wanted to see all of the colors together as well. So I just put it back in the box that it got mailed in. You can see there's a hole here because I've spun with days 1 and 2 already. But you can see all of the fiber colors here. And it's so cute. It's just so cute. And I love all of the colors. And I think it'll be even cuter as mini skeins, which let me show you because I have spun days 1 and 2, and I've plied them already. I just haven't washed or blocked them. That seems to be the theme for me. Maybe this should be a goal. Wash and block things a bit sooner than I have been. But, oh my gosh, these mini skeins are the cutest things I think I've ever made. Here's day 1. And here's day 2. Okay, so again, the fiber colorways for these alternates between tonals and like multicolored fiber, and so I am just going to spin them in day order. If I had like kind of a whole day, I could spin one of these in that day. But now that, because I did spin this in one day, I started this one and then I finished this one the next day. But because I'm going to start working soon again, going back to work after the holidays, I probably won't have that much time after work to spin on these. So I don't really have a hard goal as far as like, you know, I'm not going to spin each of the days every single day, but I would like to spin at least before the end of the year, maybe preferably before like the middle of the year, so I can have the rest of the year to think about what I want to knit with it. But I'm just going to take it day by day. Like maybe my goal is just maybe 2 of these per week. If I do more, great. And if I do less, that's also fine. Maybe the goal is 1 a week, and so I should be able to do 1 a week. Okay, let me just hold these up. I cannot stop looking at them. They're the cutest things. Okay, I want to talk details a little bit just because it is spinning and I don't want to just be like, look at my handspun. First off, this day, I don't know if I'm going to be able to remember this every single day or like how I'm going to keep track of this, but this one was a Falkland fiber, spun up nicely. Also my plan for these is all going to be a 2-ply. I think that these are probably fingering weight. I am not counting yardage for these because again, they're mini skeins and it's fine. I could just count yardage later when I wind them up if I really needed to. But I am planning on doing 2-plies for all of these. So this is a 2-ply with the tonal colors. I don't really care how I split up my fiber. I usually just split it down the middle lengthwise to make sure that the thing that I am spinning from isn't too thick. I like to spin it from just like a little bit of a thinner section. And then I don't really care how I apply them or color-wise because they're all basically the same color. Now, this was an experiment. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to plan to do these multicolor, color changing, color shifting fiber colors. So I did kind of fractal spin, sort of. Oh, my plying technique for both of these is the same. I'm going to say that. They're 2-ply, and so what I did was I just wound it into a center pull ball for both of these. And then I pulled from the center and the outside to do a to do a 2-ply. And because it's a small amount, I feel like that it was totally fine. If I did like a full 4 ounces and I did the center pull ball and applied it that way, I did that once for one of my Spin With Me videos, and it was kind of not a great experience. But because these are smaller, it's not too bad. It just kind of takes a while. But the ply technique was the same for both. However, for the color shifting one, oh my gosh, I'm like so obsessed with how cute this is. I wanted to kind of simulate a fractal spin. So when I split my fiber, I fully was intending to have 2 separate bobbins of the spin and then plying them together. But I was like, it's going to be really annoying to have any leftover strands. Doing the center pull ball plying, you will not end up with any leftovers. Because at the end, it'll just meet right in the middle at the fold, and then you just kind of like let it go and it's fine. So I didn't want any leftovers, and I don't like throwing out extras, So what I did was I split my fiber in the same way that I would for a normal fractal spin. For this one, what I did was I split it in half lengthwise, and the first half I split it again lengthwise. So I had 2 pieces for the first half. And then the second half I split it into 4 pieces, so I had 4 pieces. So I had 2 pieces and then 4 pieces for the 2 halves. And then if I had the same color order from like top to bottom, what I did for the 4-piece one is I flipped it upside down for the color order. Again, not that it really matters, but I flipped it upside down so that what I did was I just spun the first half, start from top to bottom, and then join top to bottom. And then after I flipped these into the same bobbin, I joined top to bottom, again, just to make it easy. But of course, if you don't flip it, then I would have done bottom to top, bottom to top, bottom to top, joining into the spin. And that way, it kind of simulates, I think in my mind, a fractal spin, because when you're pulling from the center and the outside, it would am I thinking about this correctly? I thought I did, but right now my brain can't compute what I did. But when you're pulling from the center and the outside, then it would then be the colors in the same order, just being plied, you know, at the different rates. And in this way, even if they aren't completely equal in size, I just won't have any leftovers at the end, which was my ultimate goal. And so, I don't know, I think that it was pretty successful. Some of the blue sections are a bit longer than I would have preferred, because if I knit something really small with this, I don't think it'll use up this whole thing, and I would like to have more of the color shifting happening, but, you know, we'll see. And this was a Polwarth fiber, this day number 2, and it's so good. I really do like Polwarth. And I would say out of all the colorways, I think that this colorway matches the pictures that came with all of the fiber bundles. I'll just pull out a couple and kind of like fan them out. I ripped them off of the packages and kept the little pictures that came with it. Again, I don't think that these pictures are any indication of like the fiber colors in the Advent, but I think that this colorway looks the most like it just includes basically every color that's in the little pictures. And so I love that. It makes me very happy because I love the colors that are in the pictures. And so this was really fun to make. And okay, the way that I made the cutest little like plump short mini skeins is I think that it was during a knit night we were talking to, I'm pretty sure it was Maya who said this. I was like, we were talking about like, I think we were talking about like there is like a short, oh my gosh, what is it called? The thing you wind a nitty naughty. There is a short one for mini skeins. And I believe that it was Maya who said that when she makes her mini skeins, you can use the normal big one, like the one that I have. I don't have it down here right now because I was using it upstairs. But you can use the normal one, but instead of doing the full circle, you just do it around 2 of them. You just do the short way. And I was like, I've never thought of that. I've never considered that. And so I was like, for these, I would love short little cute skeins instead of those like, you know, normal skinny longer mini skeins. I want these short little mini skeins. So that's what I did, and I'm very pleased, and I want to do this for I will be doing this for all of my skeins that come out of this Advent for my Handspun. Can you just imagine like all of these skeins, just at least for a little bit before I knit with them, just like all strung up or hung up somewhere, just like hanging somewhere, just like these cute little skeins. They just are adorable. I don't know. And I think for Handspun too, like they kind of look like just like little samples. There's something about them that really gets me, and I love it. Like I can just like hold it in the palm of my hand, like it just like fits as a little thing. So I'm very happy with those. Okay, so that's what I've been spinning on, and that's probably what I will be spinning on for a while. It is possible though that I could break up spinning, you know, this, because there are 24 of them, that I could split it up, like maybe if I want to do a bigger like 4-ounce spin, I could just, you know, in the middle of this just like switch and do that and then go back to this. That could also happen. Or do my sweater spin. When do I do my sweater spin? Because I want to do that pretty soon. But that's what I've been spinning this week. And then I have just a couple acquisitions. They're actually all fiber, so that kind of feels like it leads into the section really nicely. I got my Nest Fiber Club for December. I really like this colorway. This is Fika, and the fiber is Polwarth, just like this one. This one is also Polwarth. So This is Polwarth. I love these colors. It is like moody but light, like pastel moody colors, if that is even possible. Like it just has those like dark browns, right? Which is thinking like moody fall/winter. Maybe the blue is feeling more winter than fall for me. And so I do like that for this time of the year. It does feel appropriate for a December colorway. So that is really cute. And then I did get this fiber some time ago, but I didn't want to share it until it was like released and shared online already. But for 2025, I did sign up for the Year of Fiber from La Mercerie. And so we did get the January color already, or the fiber. And this made me really happy to just see this for January. So let me hold it up. Okay, I was really excited that it was Yarn Jam for January, because if you've seen before, I have worked with Trisha before she created an arieknits colorway and colorways for other podcasters that I love and are friends. And she was so great to work with, and she's such a lovely human being. And so really excited to see that she is part of this Year of Fiber thing from La Mercerie. And this colorway is so happy. This colorway is Brand New Day, and also this fiber, of course, I feel like makes sense, and I'm really happy that it is the Shanico base, which is a Merino Rambouillet sheep fiber, 4 ounces. Wow, so great. Brand New Day feels like a great name for this color. It's just so happy and feels very like nice and bright for starting the new year. So, yeah, this is the January fiber for the Year of Fiber from La Mercerie. And I love spinning with Shanico, and so I am excited to kind of like work on this. I don't know what my plans are for the Year of Fiber. It is a fiber braid for every month of the year. I don't know if it's something I want to wait until I get all of them to see if I can do some kind of combo spins here and there. I feel like it is sounds like something I would like to do, like to spin these as they come in for the month. But I think that is just too much with some of the other things that I want to do. And so we'll kind of see. It's not something I have like deadlines for, but I am just happy to receive my first braid for this Year of Fiber. Yes, that does mean that I'm adding another subscription to my Yarn and Fiber subscriptions that I'm already a part of, and we'll probably talk about this a little later, I am planning on canceling some of my subscriptions this year, especially because I did sign up for this one. So, but anyway, look how good this is. Very happy. Very cute, very soft, so soft. I want more Shanico in my life. Okay, and then that is all my acquisitions. Okay, so I am going to I'm going to go through my 2024 goals, and I'm going to talk, hopefully somewhat quickly, about whether or not I achieved it and what happened. And then I want to talk about my 2025 goals. Okay, I would just do them one by one and talk about the goals for 2024. So, number one goal of 2024 was to use more yarn than I bring in, aka be stash negative. And after doing some numbers, it's possible that I've missed some here and there, but I think that overall I'm pretty close. I have brought in 40,638 yards. Yes, that is a lot to buy, a lot of yarn to buy. But I have knit with 63,899 yards. This number does include knitting with my Handspun. I didn't really split it out by like just knitting from stash or just knitting from yarn and not Handspun and all of that, but I am like more than 20,000 yards stash negative just using those numbers, and I would find it hard to believe that I've actually knit with Handspun like 20,000 yards to make that not even be stash negative if I took out Handspun. So because I don't count in yarn that I make with Handspun, if that makes sense. But I'm just going to say that I have been successful in being stash negative for 2024, and that makes me so happy, and I feel really accomplished. And it was something I really wanted to do because my yarn stash was starting to get me feeling a bit nervous, and I wanted to be a little bit less. And obviously, whatever amount of yarn makes you happy is totally fine. You don't have to be stash negative. That's not a goal you need to have if you don't want to be. But it was something that I wanted to do, and so I'm really happy that I accomplished that goal. Okay, my next goal was to keep track of all of my yarn in stash. And I would say that I think I was pretty good at that. I used Notion to keep everything up to date as much as I could. There were some days where or some times when I needed to like go back and remember what things came in, but just like keeping track of like my receipts or like order emails was really helpful in that. And there were some days where I felt like, oh, as soon as I got it in the mail, I put it in my tracker. Other times I just was like, oh yeah, I'll remember to do that later, and then it was like 2 months later and I was like, oh my gosh. But I think what was really nice with that was that because I didn't buy as much yarn as I did this year than last year, at least that's what it felt like, and I'm pretty sure I am correct in that, there was never really too much that I needed to input, so I think that was really good. It also helped me to just see that yarn in a spreadsheet tracked with what came in this year. And so I would say that was a win. Another goal of mine was to make sure that my only subscriptions is the Woolberry Collective and the Nest Fiber Monthly Club. And I accomplished that. I didn't sign up for other subscriptions for 2024. I did sign up for one in 2025, but that's a different year. And so I only had 2 subscriptions during the year, and so that was accomplished. One of my goals was no mystery yarn for 2024, and that I did not achieve. I did get the Explorer Knits Winter Solstice box. I got the full set, and that was all mystery yarn, and so, but that was the only mystery yarn that I bought. So, it wasn't too crazy, but I didn't accomplish that goal, but it's fine. One of my other goals is to use 12 sock sets. And initially when I wrote that goal, I wanted it to be to use fully up 12 sock sets, but I was thinking about it, and yes, maybe it's because I want to just count this as a win, but I would say that I did actually use 12 sock sets, not fully up, but I did break into 12 sock sets last year. I actually broke into more, but the main project where I used actually exactly 12 sock sets was my Sweet Shop blanket, where I wound up 12 sock sets, which all came from the Pasley Knits Seasons boxes from the year before, and so I'm going to count that as using 12 sock sets for 2024. And then my other goal, which I was so excited to accomplish because I wasn't sure during the last 2 months of the year if I was going to do it, was to use all of my Woolberry rewind yarn, and this shawl was one of my success pieces for that. And so I broke into every single skein of my Woolberry rewind yarn that I got the year before, and they're all in projects that I absolutely love, so that made me feel really happy to accomplish that. I had another goal to spin at least 4 ounces a month, which is 48 ounces in the year. And I didn't think that I accomplished this because there were definitely months where I felt like I didn't spin. But I think because I did a sweater spin and I did some bit larger spins throughout the year in a shorter amount of time, that I accomplished this goal if you just count it for the whole year. I think that I have spun about 86 ounces is what I counted. I think there's actually some spins I didn't count or I didn't put in my Ravelry Handspun section, but whatever's in there, I'm pretty sure I calculated 86 ounces for the year. So that's pretty fun and interesting. This was my first full year of spinning because it was only the end of 2023 was when I started spinning. So 2024 was my first full year of spinning. So it was interesting to see how much I spin in an entire year. Okay, and then I have 3 more goals from last year, which I did not accomplish. One was to finish my 2 oldest whips. One was a bulky blanket, and the other one was a flower shawl. And I half finished this goal. I finished my flower shawl, which was crocheted flowers all crocheted together. It was a pattern by 2 of Wands, and so I finished that. That was great. But I did not ever touch my bulky blanket at all this year. I still have it. I can see it. It's like sitting right there, but I didn't feel like it. I knit so many other blankets this year, and so I don't think I felt any urge to work on that blanket. But again, it's fine. I just put it as a goal just to like see what happens, and it's fine. It's just, it didn't happen. The other one was to knit 5 patterns from Sari Nordland's book, and I didn't get even close. I've knit 1, and so I can say that I at least did 1. This was my Asopo cardigan, which I love. I love that cardigan. I'm really happy with it. I would still love to knit out of Sari Nordland's book, but I just didn't do it in 2024. So maybe in 2025 is the year that I'll knit more from her book, although she's also coming out with her 2nd book, which I will most likely buy and want to knit from. So we'll see. And then the other one was to hand dye a sweater quantity and to knit with it. I did not accomplish this, but I would say I like half accomplished it because I did hand dye a sweater quantity for Megan. So I didn't knit a sweater, but Megan is knitting a sweater out of something that I hand dyed a sweater quantity for. So I would say I like half accomplished that. But yeah, so that is the results of my 2024 goals. My goals for 2025, some of it is like kind of related to last year in terms of just like, you know, do I want to do that again, or do I take it off of the list? Do I add something new? I didn't try to think too hard about this. There's nothing that I feel like I really want to necessarily accomplish this year, but there are some things that I do want to just like have it written somewhere so I don't forget. And so that's kind of more of like what my 2025 goals kind of feel like for me this year. So number 1 is going to be the same again. I want to be stash negative in my yarn. So I'm feeling pretty good. I would love to buy even less yarn this year and to use more yarn from stash. And so I feel very happy and positive about that goal. Next one is to knit 12 socks. And so last year I wanted to just use 12 socks. This year it is 12 socks. And I've talked about this before, but I do have picked out with my friends 12 either sock sets or single skeins that I want to knit for each month of the year. So that is going to be a goal of mine, is to do that. I do have enough to carry over the same goal for no mystery yarn this year. And I kind of knew going into 2024 that I would probably feel that I would probably get the Explorer Knits Solstice yarn, which would be mystery yarn. But I think this year, I'm gonna say this now at the beginning of the year, unless the theme is all pink, which I doubt, because that's not really an Explorer Knits kind of like color theme. No, like completely no mystery yarn this year. No mystery yarn. Mystery fiber is different. So no mystery yarn specifically. Okay, my other one I talked about is I want to spin and knit my Nest Fiber Advent, and so I'm already starting on that. So first step is to spin it all, and then the next step would be to knit with it. And then I have my Make 9, which I talked about in a previous episode. I have my Make 9, my list of Make 9 projects, patterns that I want to knit from, and so that is going to be a goal, is to knit 9 of those, all 9 of them. For spinning, I'm keeping the same goal from last year to spin at least 4 ounces a month, which is going to be about 48 ounces in the year. So I would like to kind of keep that up, because even though I was yarn stash negative, I don't think I was fiber stash negative this year, or, in 2024. And then I have 2 other kind of like fun knitting goals for myself. One is to knit 2 Christmas stockings for me. I don't have any knitted Christmas stockings, and I think that now I have a fireplace, it'd be kind of nice to like have, because I can knit and there's some cute knitted stocking patterns out there, I want to have some knitted stockings, and so I want to knit 2 of them this year. And the other one, which is going to be, I think, a little bit ambitious, I want to knit my self-drafted cardigan. I don't know if you remember ever me talking about this, because I might have talked about it just once. I watched a movie, I think it was Maestro, I think it was about Leonard Bernstein, and there's a cardigan that his wife wears in the movie that I thought was so cute, and so I started a swatch for it, and that's as far as I got, and I kept telling myself I'll get to it, and I haven't gotten to it. So I am putting it in my goal for this year to actually knit this cardigan, because I won't be knitting it from a pattern. I think that is a big reason, probably the reason why I haven't really cast on or knit with it, because I have to like figure out the cast on number and like everything about it. But I think it would be a fun challenge for me to try out this year, so that's going to be a goal of mine as well. And that is all the goals that I have. Not saying that I can't later make goals for myself for this year, but this is going to be kind of like my official list, at least to start with, for the year, and I'm feeling really good about them. It makes me very happy. So yeah, that is my 2025 goals, and now it's shared with you all, and so it is kind of like written out there. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below what your goals are, if you have any goals for 2025 for knitting or spinning or any kind of crafting, because I'd love to know and like get some ideas from you all, because again, I could add more to my list if there's some that feel really good to me. So I never actually feel, for me, I don't feel too pressured to complete all of these goals. For me, I just find it like to be a fun list, to be like, if I am stuck and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do or knit, I just look at my goals. I'm like, oh, that's an idea. You know, that is how I approach my goals. So, but I know other people approach their goals very differently. So I'd love to know kind of like what all of your plans are or goals are for this year as well. I feel like I have a little bit of more talking in me to do. So I did want to just kind of like give a life update to you all, because I feel like it's been a while. I've just been talking about knitting and spinning, but now that it is the new year, and this is like, I feel like this is the first weekend in some time where I feel like it's been a bit more relaxed in the past few days. I think I've mentioned this, but I don't know if maybe I don't know if I mentioned this, but during the holidays this year, my parents came to visit me and stay with me. And so it's felt a little bit hectic, just kind of like having people over. I loved having them over, but you know, it is, my mind kind of just like, it's a bit more frazzled. So I feel like my knitting, I wasn't as like concentrated, but I was also like knew I wanted to finish something. So I really was just like, oh my gosh, at any kind of time, I just need to like knit on something. But we also did a lot of house projects while they were here. I also kind of sort of helped on some things, like change some interior doorknobs to something that's a little bit nicer. Some of them look kind of old and worn out. Painted 3 rooms. We painted 2 bathrooms and the bedroom, which painting in my mind sounds like it'd be fun, but it kind of isn't. Once you kind of like do it for a little bit. So painted 3 rooms, but it was something we wanted to do, so got that done. We also changed toilets, 2 of the toilets, 1 in each bathroom, for the first time. I mean, well, this was my first time ever seeing how a toilet gets changed. So we got new toilets, and that's really nice. They're nice toilets, at least nicer than what we had. I didn't like what we had, so that was like a whole thing as well. What else? We pulled out some fixtures, some light fixtures, and got some new ones, and there's just like projects around to do that just like took up, again, also a lot of time and just like mental energy to think about, like choosing, right? Like just picking a toilet, I was like, there's so many options. I just want one that works and is nice. Like, you know, so a lot of mental energy kind of went to those things. I felt pretty tired. I feel like I'm only now kind of like recovering from all of that. Also around the holidays, like lots of cooking and food eating happened during Christmas and the days before that and after that. Went out to eat a lot, which is something I don't normally do, but ate some really good food. And then New Year's, which is my favorite holiday. I love spending New Year's at home in Hawaii, but obviously this year I didn't go home for the holidays, so I stayed here. Parents came up to see me instead, but the for me, New Year's has always been my favorite over Christmas. I think just because of the food. I am Japanese and my family is Japanese, and so we do have kind of like some traditional, although kind of, you know, I feel weird saying traditional, but definitely like kind of traditional food for New Year's, Japanese food. And so since I was up here by myself, this was my second ever year like making that food by myself. I of course couldn't make everything because I'm one person, and when I'm home in Hawaii, you know, the rest of the family makes each of their thing that they do and bring it all together for dinner and stuff. So it was just me this year, but it was just grocery shopping during, you know, between Christmas and New Year's. It's still very busy, and you have to go to the Asian market, and that's really busy because I think everyone else is buying food for New Year's. But I made ozoni, which is a mochi soup, and it has all these other kind of like vegetables in it that is supposed to kind of like, each of them have like kind of a different thing that's supposed to be good luck for you for the year. I made kuromame, which is black beans. It's like a black soybean that you boil for a very long time. This was my first time making that. I think it turned out fine. I mean, it's edible. It tastes fine, but it was my first time making it, so I'm glad that was, I think, pretty successful. We also had salted salmon and rice for breakfast on New Year's. For me, New Year's breakfast is my favorite. This is all the food that we have for New Year's breakfast time. I made kinpira, which is a kind of like a stir-fried gobo, which is like a root vegetable. It's like a really long, skinny root vegetable thing that you kind of like chop up into little pieces with carrots, and so it's all kind of stir-fried together. It's really good. I made that. That was my second time ever making that. I made rainbow jello because for me and my family, we always make rainbow jello for New Year's Eve and for New Year's Day, and just kind of like eat it as a dessert. And I think that might have been it. My absolute favorite is the ozoni soup. I love that. I only have it once a year, and so maybe that is why it feels like pretty special, but yeah, it was really good. I just needed a lot of ingredients in there to cook and to just make sure when I was plating it out, you know, just make sure each person gets at least one of each. Obviously, you can go back and eat more of one of the things if you want, but I also cut the carrots into little flower shapes, which is also the first time I did that this year. And it wasn't too bad. Like, it took a little bit of time, but it wasn't too bad. So I'll probably do that for the next future times making it. But it was really fun. I did enjoy it. It was just really tiring, you know? And so now that all of that's over, I have some time to relax and kind of like get back into routine. Just some time to start up work again, which is kind of sad. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty relaxed right now. Just getting back into more knitting, which is always kind of nice. And starting to get back into routine, I think, will be something I want to try and do. I've been sleeping in a lot during this holiday break, which is good, I think, for me to kind of just like recover. But I need to work up to waking up early again for skating. I took like a week and a half break from skating because I just like wasn't really feeling it, to be honest. Again, I was like really tired, kind of stressed. I was like, you know, don't want to go out that early in the morning. So took a break. I haven't gone skating for, I think the last time I went skating was on Christmas Eve when I went skating with my friends. Just to like see them for the last time of the year, I guess, kind of, sort of. So I haven't seen them since then. So I'm looking forward to seeing my skating friends again. This coming week is the plan to go back. So yeah, but I've been enjoying my time off. Probably should have been stretching a little more during my time off, but you know, stuff happens, things happen, and I think it's just good to just sometimes just like take a break, relax, just like let everything rest for a little bit. And sometimes I'll come back and be like, wow, that thing looks so much better, or that thing works so much better, and I didn't really do much to work on it. Or it could be the opposite, where I'm like, ooh, gotta work on that a bit more, but I'm happy either way. It's something I love to do, so I'm just gonna keep going at it. But yeah, okay, that is like all I have now for my knitting updates, my spinning updates, and my life update. And my goals. Talked about my goals. Talked about, yeah, what I accomplished in my 2024 goals, which I think is pretty good. And then we'll talk about my 2025 goals. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think this year, oh my gosh, 2024 went by so fast. 2025 is just going to keep going by even faster. So part of me is excited to just like get started on the things that I want to do. But I also at the same time want to just like take it easy and relax. There's no rush for things as well. So yeah, with that, thank you so much for watching. Again, I can't believe I am in triple digits now of my podcast episodes. Thank you all so much for continuing to watch. If you're a new viewer, thank you so much for joining. I hope you come back for more. I'm excited to continue this for 2025. If there's any new things you want to hear from me or for me to talk about, just let me know in the comments down below as well. And yeah, I just hope that you've all had a great start to 2025 and that you continue to have a great January. And I will see you all in next week's video. Bye!